You quit smoking. You saved the money instead. Here's what happened over 30 years. You did not win the lottery. You did not inherit money from someone you barely knew. You did not start a business, sell a company, or discover some secret investment strategy that nobody else had access to. You just stopped buying cigarettes, and you put that money somewhere instead. That is the entire story. Except it is not a small story. It is one of the most powerful financial decisions a person can make in a single afternoon, without a degree, without a financial advisor, and without ever touching a spreadsheet. And by the time this is over, the math will have said something that no amount of motivation could say better. Let us start at the beginning. You are 25 years old. You have been smoking since you were 18. 1 pack a day, every single day, 7 days a week. You do not think about the cost the way you think about other expenses. It does not feel like a budget line. It feels like a fixed part of your life, like rent, like breathing. But here's what it actually costs you. In the United States, the average price of a pack of cigarettes in 2024 is approximately $9. $9 a day, $327 a month, $3,924 a year. You are not just spending money on cigarettes. You are spending the future version of that money, and the future version is not $9 a day. It is something else entirely. The day you quit is not dramatic. It rarely is. You wake up, you make coffee, and something shifts. Maybe you read something. Maybe a doctor said something. Maybe you just looked at your bank account and did the math and felt something change in your chest that had nothing to do with the cigarettes. You put the pack down. And then you do something different this time. Instead of just stopping, you open your phone, you go to your brokerage account, and you set up an automatic investment, $9 a day, every single day, into a low-cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500. You do not think about it too hard. You do not wait for the perfect moment or the perfect fund. You just redirect the exact same amount you are lighting on fire every single day, and then you close the app. The first month, nothing feels different. The account balance is $273. You look at it the way you look at a plant you just put in the ground. You can't see it growing. You just know something is happening underneath. The second month, $546. By the end of year one, the account sits at approximately $4,100, assuming an average 10% annual return from the market. You deposited $3,924 of that. The market added roughly $176 on top. You look at that number and you feel almost nothing. $176 does not feel like a revelation. But this is where almost everyone makes the critical mistake. They confuse what something feels like in year one with what it will become in year 30, and those two things have almost nothing to do with each other. You are 30 years old now, 5 years in. You haven't had a single cigarette, not because you are a person of extraordinary willpower, but because the habit you replaced it with has become part of who you are. You are now someone who invests $9 a day. It is not a decision you make every morning. It is automated. It runs without you. You do not think about it any more than you used to think about buying cigarettes. The account balance at 30, assuming a consistent 10% average annual return, sits at approximately $24,000. You deposited $19,620 of that. The market made $4,380 for you while you were doing other things. You did not work for that $4,000. You did not think about it and let it grow. Your friends at 30 are talking about their smoking habits the way people talk about a personality trait they have accepted as permanent. You are not. And you have $24,000 that proves the trade was worth making. Here is what the cigarettes would have cost you over those 5 years, by the way. $19,620 in direct spending, plus whatever your health insurance premium adjustment would have been, plus the co-pays for the appointments that smokers have more frequently, plus the dry cleaning bills, the breath mints, the lighters. The financial cost of smoking is never just the pack. The pack is the visible cost. Everything else is invisible until you stop and look back. You are 35. The account balance is now approximately $62,000. You deposited $39,240 over 10 years. The market added $22,760 on top of that. The money your money made is now almost 60% of what you personally put in. You begin to understand something at 35 that you could not have understood at 25. Compounding is not a financial concept. It is a force of nature. and it does not begin to reveal itself until you have given it enough time to breathe. In year 1, it added $176. In year 10, it is adding over $5,000 per year. The same habit, the same $9 a day, the same automatic investment. But the returns are growing because the base they're growing on is growing. Money making money making money. A sequence that started with a pack you put down. You are 40 years old. The account crosses $100,000. Specifically, at a 10% average annual return over 15 years of $9 a day, the balance sits at approximately $117,000. You deposited $58,860. The market contributed $58,140. Look at those two numbers. They are nearly identical. For the first time in your investing life, the money the market has made for you is almost exactly equal to the money you put in yourself. You have, in a very real sense, doubled your investment through patience alone, not through timing the market, not through stock picks or crypto or a real estate deal that required a spreadsheet to understand, through $9 a day and the decision to leave it alone. This is the moment most people begin to make mistakes. The balance feels large enough to do something with. A down payment on a car that you did not need before feels more possible now. A vacation that has been delayed for 3 years suddenly seems justified. Every reason sounds rational in the moment. None of them account for what you are actually giving up. Because every dollar you remove at 40 is not a dollar. At a 10% average annual return, $1 invested at 40 becomes $6.73 by the time you are 60. You are not withdrawing a dollar. You are withdrawing $6.73 and calling it a dollar. The account is not a savings account with good returns. It is a machine, and you are about to put your hand inside it. You do not. You leave it alone. And you keep adding $9 a day. You are 45. The balance crosses $200,000. At a consistent 10% return over 20 years, your account holds approximately $224,000. You deposited $78,480. The market made $145,520 on top of that. The money the market made for you is now almost double what you put in yourself. And here's the shift that most people miss.
At 45, the growth begins to feel different. Not because anything changed about the strategy, but because the base is now large enough that 10% annual returns at $20,000 per year. $20,000 a year growing in the background. From $9 a day you started at 25. Let us pause here for a moment, because something important is happening that has nothing to do with money. When you were 25 and you smoked a pack a day, you were doing something very specific. You were choosing the present over the future, every single day. $9 of immediate satisfaction over $9 of compounding patience. The moment you quit, you reversed that equation. But the reversal was not just financial. You began to make different decisions in other parts of your life too. Not immediately, not dramatically. But the person who invests $9 a day instead of burning it does not stay the same person. The habit rewires something. The investment account becomes evidence of a different relationship with time. And that relationship starts to show up in how you eat, how you sleep, what you say yes to, what you say no to. The cigarette was never just a cigarette. The investment was never just an investment. Both are expressions of a much deeper question. Who are you choosing to become? You are 50 years old, 25 years since you quit. The account balance sits at approximately $376,000. You deposited $98,100. The market built $277,900 on top of that. The money the market made for you is now nearly 3 times what you put in. 3 times. From $9 a day. From the decision you made on a Tuesday morning at 25 that nobody around you noticed or commented on. You are 55. The account is approaching $600,000. Specifically, at a 10% average annual return over 30 years, the balance is approximately $581,000. You deposited $117,720. The market contributed $463,280. The market has now made 4 times what you put in. You look at that number the way you look at something that stopped needing your attention years ago and kept growing anyway. The machine is running, and you have not touched it. You are 55 and something else is happening. You have not had a cigarette in 30 years. Statistically, your lungs are now comparable to someone who never smoked. Your cardiovascular risk has dropped significantly. The chronic cough that followed you through your late 20s is a memory so faint you have almost forgotten it existed.
You are not just wealthier than the version of you that kept smoking. You are likely to live longer. And that matters here, because every additional year of life is another year the machine keeps running. You are 55, and here's what the other version of your life looks like, the version where you did not quit. In that version, you spent $117,720 on cigarettes over 30 years, not including the health costs, the insurance premiums, the medications. You have zero in an investment account. You are approaching 60 with a body that has been processing cigarette smoke for 37 years and a bank account that shows no evidence of that spending. The money is simply gone, converted into smoke every single day for 30 years. You are 55 in the version where you quit. Your account holds $581,000. You are approaching 60 with lungs that have had 30 years to heal and a financial position that does not require panic. The difference between these two versions of the same person is not talent. It is not luck. It is not income. It is a single decision made once on a Tuesday morning at 25 that was then automated and forgotten. You are 55, and someone at work asks you how you built the financial position you have. You tell them the honest answer. You quit smoking at 25 and invested $9 a day. They laugh, not rudely, but with the specific disbelief of someone who expected a more complicated answer. You understand why they laughed. You would have laughed too at 25. $9 a day does not sound like the answer. That is exactly why almost nobody does it. You are 55, and your account will cross $1 million by the time you are 58. At a 10% average annual return on $9 a day starting at 25, the account reaches approximately $1,040,000 at age 58. $1 million. From quitting smoking, from redirecting $9 a day for 33 years, from a decision that cost you nothing and paid you everything. Let us go back to the beginning one more time. Because there is someone reading this right now who is 25, or 28, or 32. Someone who smokes a pack a day and has not thought about stopping in a way that felt real. Someone who has run the math a dozen times on paper and always found a reason why the timing was not right. The market is too uncertain. My income is not stable enough. I will start investing when things settle down. I will quit smoking when the stress is lower. Here's what you need to understand about those reasons. They will never go away. The market will always have uncertainty. Income will always have instability. Stress will always be present. The people who wait for conditions to be perfect before making the decision are still waiting. The people who made the decision on an imperfect Tuesday morning at 25 are sitting at 55 with nearly $600,000 and lungs that have had 3 decades to recover. The decision does not require perfect conditions. It requires the willingness to do something small and unremarkable, and then the discipline to never undo it. The cigarette in your hand right now is $9. It is also $42 at age 40. It is $60 at age 50. It is $81 at age 55. You are not holding a cigarette. You are holding a decision about who you are going to be, and it is disguised as something small, because the most important decisions always are. Put it down. Open the app. Set the automatic investment for $9 a day. Close the app. Go back to your life. The account will handle the rest. 30 years from now, a version of you will be sitting somewhere quiet with nearly $600,000 and lungs that have had 3 decades to recover. And they will trace everything back to a Tuesday morning when they made a decision that felt too small to matter. It was not small. It was the most important decision they ever made, and they almost did not make it. The money is not the point. The money is the proof. The point is the decision you are about to make, with the cigarette in your hand, right now.